Good morning. Welcome in. It's good to be back in the studio after a couple of remotes Thursday and Friday at the Delta Soul charity golf event. All kinds of celebrities there. That was a ton of fun. The Delta's super crazy, and we had a blast. But it's good to be back in the Bank Plus studio. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Hope you had a good weekend. Happy Father's Day to all of you out there. I hope you had a good weekend and a good day. The weather held up for us just enough yesterday to get out on the boat for a while and all that kind of good stuff. So that was nice. Summer thunderstorms everywhere, but worked out around here. We're ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. You can watch it on YouTube also. Search Out of Bounds Sports. And the SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi. We want to welcome in our friend, National College Football Analyst with ESPN, Tom, and recruiting and everything else. Tom Luginbill joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Lugs, where are you, my man?
Well, I am finally home, and I was so jealous of you yesterday when you texted me with the photo on the boat and a nice stogie in your hand, and I had just gotten back from the airport in the UFL championship game from Saturday night. So I was looking at you and going, golly, man, come on, dude. I mean, just give me a day or two to sit down and just decompress for a second.
I'll be honest. It was a good day. Every lap got better and better, and then jumped it. You know what's funny? Usually around here, Lugs, I know you're 8-9 hours kind of northeast of us, but usually around here it's hotter than hell by now. But we've had a mile. I know it's coming, right? The tidal wave is coming, and the heat's coming, and all the football players will be out in it, and all the camps and so on. But we've had a mild summer, and in the rain, we've had enough rain to keep things cooled down. So when I jumped in the lake yesterday, it's still cold, like 2 feet under the surface, and it's, you know, all about that, having a lake house. It's still.
Well, I'm heading to the lake here pretty shortly. So once I can get my affairs in order and complete a couple of deadline tasks for ESPN.com, I'm going to be heading to the water probably at least for 2.5 maybe 3 weeks.
Oh, I love it. And worthy, because before you know it, you'll have SEC, ACC, and everything else media days.
Oh, yeah.
Which
right
is
around the bend.
I know. I can't believe it. I'm debating whether I'm going to Atlanta. I may do it because there's a Burn by Rocky Patel cigar bar and lounge there. So I went a few years ago when the first time they had it at the College Football Hall of Fame. I only went for one day. Those things have gotten kind of boring, but or I went for like an hour and a half. And then I went out to Burn by Rocky Patel and called a Braves game and stayed out by the Battery. So it kind of made the trip, worth it. And if you're ever in Atlanta, recruiting or calling a game, Burn by Rocky Patel is a beautiful cigar bar and lounge right by the Braves ball. Yeah, it's really, really well done. Great humidor. And I know you would. I dove in there a couple afternoons and just got lost, and it was nice.
That's great.
I was thinking about, while I was on the boat, I was like, all right, what are Tom and I going to talk about? And I wanted to throw out, last year, I thought that, and it was different tiers, but I thought Georgia, Bama, and LSU were down. And I thought some teams in our league took advantage of it, and some didn't. Texas did. And I think they're trending back into the, top five and kind of blue blood area after losing their way with Mack and then Charlie Strong and Herman and so on. But and I talk to people like you in the business because I always want to pick people's brain about what they believe. And, there's some people that are like, Brian Kelly and LSU, he's not going to bottom out. He's not going to go 5-7 or 6-6. These guys don't think. But they're not sure he's going to get, to the promised land. Get him in the top four, whatever, a semifinal game in the next year or two. And so how do you see it? Do you believe that he can turn the corner, or is he just going to live in the 9-3 space where they're kind of caught in that, what the hell do we do because we owe him a fortune on his contract, Luke?
Well, I think that we all realize, if you follow college football and you follow it closely, that 9-3 at LSU is not good enough.
No.
Right? And Brian Kelly would tell you that. All right? And I said when he was hired, now understand there were variables involved when I said this that were not a part of college football. And that is, you could make the argument that the job he did at Notre Dame in our era, was as good as anybody could have possibly done.
Agree.
Right? And now we've seen, obviously, what it's done under Marcus Freeman in his, much shorter tenure to this point. And my comments were that, listen, the guy has won everywhere. And I'm talking championships, national championships at Grand Valley State, MAC championships at Central Michigan, high level of success at Cincinnati. He knows how to build, operate, and maintain a program. But I don't think he's immune to what everybody else is dealing with, and that is the transient nature of our sport, right? And look, it even started to affect Alabama and Nick Saban and the process by which they would go to maintain and sustain their program. You can't do it that way anymore, right? So I think all of these coaches, regardless of the tremendous resources that they may have, if they're not pivoting, if they're not making major shifts in approach and looking at this through an entirely different lens, then they're going to fall behind. And I'm not saying that he's not willing to or isn't doing those things. What I'm saying is because of name, image, likeness and the transfer portal and the shift from high school recruiting to recruiting the portal being a little bit more predominant, all of the playing field's been leveled. Right, and when I say leveled, I'm not talking leveled that all of a sudden a Kansas State or a TCU or an NC State is now automatically going to be thought of in the same vein as an Alabama, an LSU, an Ohio State, or Clemson. But amongst the big boys, right, it's become more competitive than it's ever been in the history of the game, which makes it even more difficult. And I always go back to this phrase, Bo, and I loved that he said it. And this was the very first show that Nick Saban was on College Game Day. And you probably know what I'm going to reference here. They're in Ireland, and they're talking about the transfer portal and the moves that people are making. And I think the topic in this particular segment of the show was, what is the outlook for Ohio State? Because let's call it what it is. Ohio State pushed all of their chips to the table and, in essence, for lack of a better phrase, purchased a national championship caliber team, right? And Nick Saban sat on that desk and he said, you can do everything right. You can make all of these financial investments and you can pay all the players you want to. But if you pay the wrong ones, you're SOL. And that is the most accurate statement in relationship to the transfer portal. And so I think if you're going to compare a Brian Kelly and an LSU to some of these other high-level programs, maybe you got to start saying they got to start making some better decisions.
Yeah.
With whether it's at the high school level, whether it's through the transfer portal, because they've nailed the quarterback position, right? I think that they have underwhelmed at the running back position. We know they've had elite level wideouts, but where are those defensive linemen that everybody, when you stood there on the sideline or you were in the stadium and you watched LSU come to the tunnel and you're like, dude, our guys don't look like those guys. Like, where is the defensive side of this LSU football team that we become so accustomed to looking at as a top 3 to 5, maybe top 1 to 3 elite level unit amongst their peers, and right now they don't have it. And I think that's what's limiting them more than anything.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to. I mean, he is going to have to turn the corner at some point, or they'll look another direction. With Nussmeier coming back, that could mask, as you talk about, so many of I don't know how many. I mean, they have deficiencies. That's all relative.
Well, it gives you a chance to win track meets.
Right.
The problem is, if for some reason you have an off day, right, on offense for whatever, let's just say you turn it over 3 times or
Right.
heavily penalized, you do something against your nature, and you play somebody that's really good on offense, well, now you've got a big problem on your hands because they haven't proven that they can rely solely on the defense to get them out of trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So would you be surprised if he turns it with Nussmeier coming back? Now he's in year 4. Would you be surprised to look up in late November and going in the last game of the season and they're firmly in the hunt for one of the college football playoff spots?
Oh, I think that should be expected and is more than possible. You know, we're looking at a revamped Auburn. How's that thing going to play out? Ole Miss is going to be breaking in a new quarterback and some other pivotal players. You know, Alabama is now breaking in a new quarterback. I mean, the timing of this thing, when you go in to a season and you have advantages at quarterback, you have a leg up right off the bat. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, we know what Arch Manning's potentially capable of. We know what John Mateer is potentially capable of at Oklahoma, and he's played a lot of football. But, you know, Jackson Arnold has had a moderate level of success, probably was hindered by the personnel around him last year at Oklahoma, but I think he'll be an upgrade. But as far as like a proven guy that's done it over and over and over again, and he's an upperclassman, LSU has the advantage going in. And until we know how those other positions at some of the other teams that are considered to be competitors play out, you know, is Gunnar Stockton at Georgia going to be the Gunnar Stockton that we saw late in the season filling in for Carson Beck, where you went, no wonder they didn't care about keeping Carson Beck.
Right.
This guy might be a better option, and you got less headaches on top of it. And you got Lenoris Sellers. You got Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina, who is a nightmare to deal with. But are they good enough everywhere else?
Yeah,
right,
I don't know.
Around him. So, again, the quarterback position can never be understated.
Lenoris Sellers, Ole Miss plays South Carolina at home this year. Lenoris Sellers, kind of a baby Cam?
Yeah, you know what he is? He's a better passing. Why am I drawing a blank? The kid at Alabama last year.
Oh, Milroe?
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
better pure passer.
Okay.
And,
I like
and
that.
similar athletic traits and size to Jalen Milroe. And so you can imagine that he's a handful. And I think they showed that down the stretch.
Dang, I like that. Okay. Lenoris. So I heard your friend McShay talk about Lenoris a couple weeks ago on his podcast. And he went on and on about him. Yeah, he's a problem. He is. He was injured a little bit last year, but man, when he was healthy, he was a force. Give Beamer and the staff credit on that. Man, I wasn't sure Beamer was going to work, but whatever he's doing is work for who they are. It's
Exactly.
working at South Carolina. I was wrong. I got to know him. He was a kid. I felt like I was a kid when he was on Kroom's staff. We used to go to lunch together, and he's a super guy. But evidently he's got
great.
the mettle and the resolve to hold his staff accountable. But the players love him. I think the staff likes him. But he's also tough enough to keep everything in order. I don't know. It seems to be. Hell, if he wins again, he may end up in a blue blood. He's young.
And will have earned it.
I know.
Will have earned it.
I don't know what plays out at LSU, and I don't know what plays out here or there. But all of a sudden, Beamer throws up another 8-4, 9-3. Lugs, he may put himself in position for a top 12 job.
Well, there's no question. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think one of the things to add to some of your comments with him is if there was ever a time in college football to have max, and I mean max level people skills, it's now.
Yes.
And he has that.
Yes.
He has that.
Yes. That's why I'm concerned about where Levy is. Levy's got insane people skills. The guy's got charisma, dude. Lots of what Beamer has. I just don't know if he hired. You've got to get out of the gate and get things rolling. I just don't know if he's got enough support with the 10 headsets under him. And I don't know if Jeff is willing to hold people accountable at the level that you have to do it.
Player-wise, or the people around him
both
in this era?
Both. But definitely the people. I mean, I got so close to that Mullen era staff and so on, and I would watch Dan. Good Lord have mercy. I mean, he could joke around, but man, he would chew on anybody's, and explain to them, if you can't run your room, I will fire you. I mean, he would say that. I mean, we have this saying among my buddies. Dan Mullen woke up in the morning and got to the football facility looking to MF someone. And I just think there's a balance, but there's something to that. And Beamer's got the stuff. Give him credit. I thought it was and then he's doing well. All right, so back Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. I mean, I think Levy's got all those intangibles and dude factor that Beamer has. I just don't know if he's going to get it. He's got to get the grill lit, Luke's. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to eventually, sooner than later, you got to get the fire going, and you got to get the lighter fluid on it enough to where you can at least. Nobody's looking for 8-4, but you got to get competitive really quick. Does that make sense, Tom?
You do. And to be honest with you, if there was ever an era to be able to, you used to be able to say you don't just get to wave a magic wand and poof, you're competitive. Well, now you can. Right. And there's been dozens of examples of it happening. And so, and then what that does is that puts added pressure. It's not as if there aren't examples out there where you say, well, nobody's ever been able to pull this off. Well, that's absolutely false. A bunch of people are doing it now. And so, and I think, going back to Dan, he was doing it at a time, like if you tried to do, and we're going to find out from a mid-major perspective at UNLV, but if you tried to run the program and operate the way that he'd like to operate when he took that job, and you applied that same approach now, because now, if you decide to MF a player, or if you decide to coach somebody hard, that guy's going to crawl into a fetal position. He's going to suck his thumb, and he's going to go into the transfer portal.
Right.
And so and dealing and massaging the roster is an entirely different animal now than it was when Dan Mullen was at Mississippi State.
Who makes the biggest jump this year? And it's all different tiers, but who makes the biggest jump out of Florida, LSU, and Oklahoma?
I want to say Florida because I think they're going to be really good, but the schedule gods have screwed them again.
Right.
I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, like, at some point we got to let up. But that was a team at the end of last year, if they can carry over any momentum at the end of last year, that nobody wanted to play. I mean, they were a problem. Like, you're going to sit there and tell me that team wouldn't have beat SMU, and SMU made the college football playoffs.
Right.
You're going to sit there and tell me that team wouldn't have beat Boise? They would have beat Boise. I sat there and watched Boise on the sideline against Penn State. That was varsity versus JV.
Right.
So, it's always difficult to carry over where you left off, but I want to stay Florida. But I think the biggest jump could potentially be Oklahoma.
With Mateer.
They've got a lot of returning components. The quarterback's a handful. If the running back from Cal can stay healthy, Jaden Ott, he's an absolute workhorse. The problem is, and I always say this, if a guy has a distinct history of being injured, there's a high likelihood he's going to be injured for you. And so that would worry me a little bit. I think the expectation is putting LSU in that equation. Like, I would replace LSU with Auburn.
Okay, let's do that. Auburn.
I would have said Oklahoma, Auburn, or Florida.
And you're leaning Florida and Oklahoma.
I am, but to be honest with you, and it's a put up or shut up year, I think, for Hugh Freeze. But they're going to be so improved at quarterback, and those freshman wide receivers and those guys they played in the back end as freshmen a year ago, like, they're pretty damn good. And I think they're going to be a lot better.
Well, they had games won left and right. DJ Durkin did what he was supposed to do. They just couldn't get it. They just threw up all over themselves on offense in the second half of games they were up. So you make a good point. All right, we still got a minute. Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. Ole Miss goes to Georgia this year. They beat Georgia at home last year. Georgia wasn't Georgia that we know. Is he good enough? Can Kirby get this thing to where they're back in the top 3 or 4 in the country?
Yeah, he's good enough. But like I said when we discussed this and started off the conversation about LSU, that's affecting Georgia too, right? It's affecting everybody. Like, to be able to just go out and be so much better than everybody else, I think those days are over amongst the blue bloods. Like, I think even if talent is equitable and you got these two teams, like, it's going to be hard to just go out and just run roughshod over everybody. I just don't know if that's reality anymore. But I do think Gunnar Stockton gives them an athletic element that they haven't had. You know, you haven't had since Stetson Bennett, because Stetson Bennett was a deceptively good runner and get out of trouble guy.
Yeah.
And I think Gunnar Stockton kind of brings that back to the offense.
Oh, wow. So he's got that much mobility. Okay. That's a problem for other teams. And they get Texas, Bama, and Ole Miss at home, where they had to play all 3 of those on the road and lost 2 of the 3, Luke. So
yeah, that's exactly right. And so, and you hear me say this all the time. I've said it for years with you. Like, I'm a big schedule guy, but not just the difficult teams that are quote unquote labeled the best teams on your schedule, but who you play, when you play, and where you play. Mm-hmm. Road games matter. Environments matter. When you play somebody matters. And I always go back to that 2014 season when in week 2, Virginia Tech went up to the Horseshoe and dismantled Ohio State, right? And the very next week, Virginia Tech went home and lost to East Carolina. And Ohio State just started to grow and grow and grow and got really, really good and started to become a dominant team. You think that Virginia Tech team, if they played Ohio State in week 8, would have won?
No.
So where you play and when you play matters.
Yes.
And I think that's when you're looking at a schedule in an off season like we're in right now, you start to sit there and say, okay, well, they got to go on the road here, but that's not a traditionally difficult place to play. You know, and then, well, they've got 2 of their best teams on the schedule, and they got them at home. Okay, well, that matters. Well, when do they have them? Do they have them early and they're breaking in a quarterback? Or do they have them in week 9 and that quarterback that nobody knew about in August is all of a sudden a dude?
Right.
Like, now we're having a different conversation.
Totally. Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Out of Bounds Show. Enjoy the lake. We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you. See ya.
Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Hartley Equipment in Gluckstadt. So if you're looking for a 0-turn mower from Exmark, Skag, or Bad Boy, it's all powered by Hartley Equipment in Gluckstadt and their new dealership on Church Road. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.
Stand by for audio. Got it.
It's 8 a.m., and you're tuned to Mississippi's #1 choice for non-stop sports. The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
Where am I?
On the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. Brought to you by the amazing steaks at Kessler Prime in the Renaissance. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. Check out the rack of lamb. Pair it with some escargot, bacon wrapped shrimp. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. 6 private dining rooms. Yes, they have award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon. Or a Tito's Espresso Martini. Good morning, good morning. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Got Jackson Meadows with me. He hadn't even been on the mic yet, so we'll throw out the Golden Moon Casino text line, 601-885-3776. Twitter X at Bo Bounds. I was a little active on Twitter with the J.J. Spawn win in the U.S. Open. What an unbelievable story. Walk on at San Diego State. Walked on the golf team at San Diego State. U.S. Open champ. Won $4.3 million yesterday. Not a bad weekend to go from, not a bad deal to go from walk on at San Diego State to U.S. Open champ at Oakmont. Exempt from the U.S. Open for 10 years and the other majors for 5. Wow. So he's got a run here where, you know, he can make, just made some serious dough, can make, you know, several $1 million just hanging around the top 30, 40, 50, as y'all know. And who knows? Maybe he ends up on a Ryder Cup or something at some point in his career. Would be really cool. Those putts at 12, 14, and 18, filthy. Because people were losing their mind, losing their composure. He stayed in the saddle. You know, the story that he told, I thought this was funny. The story that he told about having to go to CVS on Sunday morning yesterday, on Championship Sunday, because his kid was throwing up. And we've all been there. Except he's playing in the U.S. Open.
Right.
And he's got 2 little kids under 4. And one of them, one of them can't keep anything down. And so he's finally like, I mean, can you imagine if he's not a recognizable name or face, unless you're just gung-ho golf. But can you imagine being on aisle 4 at CVS if you knew who he was, and J.J. Spawn's kind of discombobulated at 7 a.m. in the morning trying to find some medicine for his little baby to keep food down or anything down? That was a great story. And then he comes home, gets ready, has a terrible, and he kind of said, look, I don't want to blame it on that because other players have to go through, especially young players, but his first 5 holes were awful. Awful. He played bogey, double bogey golf. And then, boom, he turns it around. It just incredible. J.J. Spawn, U.S. Open champ. Walk on at San Diego State at CVS at 7 a.m. on the morning of Championship Sunday. Comes out, throws up all over himself the first 5 holes. He could have just gone ahead and thrown up about a, plus 11, which great players shot 11 over in this turn. Great players. How about this quote? Today I was running to CVS in downtown, wherever, Oakmont, because my daughter had a stomach bug and was vomiting all night. I was just like, okay, my wife was up at 3 a.m. and she's like, Violet is vomiting all over. She can't keep anything down. And he goes on to say it was kind of a rough start in the morning. I'm not blaming that on my start, but it kind of fit the mold of what was going on, the chaos. I don't think I had any. I didn't really like when I go back home after the round, my kids are there, and it's such a big distraction where I'm not even having to dwell on anything or think too much, which is a good thing. He won $4.3 million. He won $4.3 million. Hey, what'd you do this morning? Well, I went to CVS at 4 a.m. for my kids, and then 12 hours later, I won the U.S. Open as a former walk-on at San Diego State, who also had my tour card yanked in 2021. What an unbelievable story, J.J. Spawn, as the U.S. Open champ at Oakmont. That's a funny text from my buddy Matt. But we've all been, again, if you have kids, you've been at CVS or Walmart at 3 a.m. looking for anything. You're tired. You don't know where you are. Your wife doesn't know where she is. And you got a kid who's either can't stop going to the restroom or can't stop puking. And they can't do anything because they're 1 year old. Right? You've been there. You're chasing your... guess what? You got to play 18 holes at Oakmont. Where when you hit it certain places, you can't even see your damn golf ball. Oh, and something else. You're going to have a weather delay. And it's just going to monsoon down, and then everything's going to be wet too, in which you have to, adjust. Those putts at 12, 14, and 18, stones. Big time, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, stones. $4.3 million. Exempt for 10 years at U.S. Open, 5 years at the others. You think that's a good feeling today? Jackson? By the way, good morning, man. Sorry, I haven't. We're doing a bunch of interviews today. Tom Luginbill, 7:30. Luke Falk, record-setting quarterback at Washington State under Mike Leach, had an unbelievable tweet about Leach, so I said we got to have him on. And then Brian O'Connor at 9:30. How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm not as good as Spawn. Not as good as
you're not quite doing.
No, not that good. I mean, good Lord.
Well, you know what he just made? He just made nanny money.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
and there's so he wasn't in the nanny money space. All right, $4.3 million just got dropped on him. He just made nanny money, where you can get a little bit of a breather. Next tournament, you can have someone with you, so that the wife can go get her nail. Like when you're there for, you got to play in the pro-am before. You got to get there on Monday or Tuesday, right? It's a 6-day grind on the PGA. Bring in the the PGA has nannies they connect you with. So if you got the money, it's done. You just call your agent or a PGA rep. Hey, I got to have. Okay, they'll be there on site when you get there. Great. I also need Tito's, Numantia, right. And anyway, ribeyes. Everything's set. If you get to that, he just got $4.3 million and exempt from a bunch of really cool tournaments. Jackson, that's kind of cool.
I mean, it's incredible.
It is.
I don't.
And he could have fallen apart and finished 44th. Nobody would have known because nobody knew who the hell he was.
No.
Unless you're a gung-ho, fantasy golfer or just that 1% that knows more than 15 players on the PGA.
Right.
Outside of Koepka and Scheffler and Bubba, right? Spieth and Justin Thomas and all those dudes. But a hell of a story. Walk on at San Diego State. Guy didn't even get it. I tell you what, you can walk on. We'll give you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right. If there's some clubs in the back storage room, you can look through those. Somebody used them 4 years ago. And you may not make it if you don't play well, even then. And if we try anything we do, you have to pay for it. We're not giving you shoes. We're not even giving you a glove. And you'll have to pay for your golf balls, too.
Yep.
Okay? But you can walk on at San Diego State.
God.
And when we play UNLV or whoever in the hell we play out west, Fresno State, you're not going to make the trip. But if you ever play really well and somebody else leaves, you may make the team. U.S. Open champ. His mom taught him how to play golf. How about that? She played when she was pregnant.
Dang.
His mom taught him how to play golf with plastic clubs. Lost his tour card in 2021. All the corny stuff our parents told us matters. Resilience. The ability to stay in the saddle. We are the Out of Bounds Show. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Speaking of golf, book your stay and play right now. DancingRabbitGolf.com. And Luke Falk will join us at 8:30 today. He played quarterback at Washington State for Mike Leach, Pac-12's all-time leading passer. And unbelievable story. But he pushed out a tweet last week and swing your sword, talked about how Leach taught him to play with house money. We're going to discuss that. Luke Falk was a fantastic quarterback in the air raid system. Again, the system elevated him, and he embraced it and did what you need to do. But Luke Falk will join us at 8:30. He played for Mike Leach at Washington State. He went on and on in this tweet about Leach calling him out and changing. He thought, I may be done. And Leach challenged him, and it worked out. He went from walk-on to the Pac-12. I mean, how many times have you heard this? From walk-on to Pac-12 all-time leading passer. That system was incredible for quarterbacks who may be limited a little bit or a lot. Just amazing. And so Luke Falk will join us at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And, man, I know Gardner Minshew had some big wins. Man, Leach always had big wins, right? I mean, he just beat people. But look at this. I mean, I'm looking here. UCLA, Oregon, broke a 20-year bowl drought win over Miami. You shouldn't beat Miami at Washington State. What did Bartu tell us? They recruited in the 70s, and yet he won in 1-1 out there. Flint Minshew, Gardner Minshew's dad, told me it's impossible to get to. It's like 4 plane flights from here. And that's unbelievable this day and age because you can usually hop on 2 and you're good. But yeah, he was originally committed to Cornell, which is not exactly a football power, I don't think, and then pivoted to Washington State as a walk-on under Leach. How about that?
Cornell, in fact, is not a powerhouse.
Okay. Are you confirming that?
Confirmed.
All right. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN, brought to you by the Spray-In Bedliners, lift kits, tires, and wheels, Rick's Pro Truck, and their 3 locations in the metro area. RicksProTruck.com. Jay Meadows, did you do anything productive this week? Well,
yeah.
You're setting up our golf simulator.
Yeah, productive.
That
kicked off.
That's like highly productive for you.
Highly. Kicked off the weekend with that.
All right. What else?
The house, man, looks great.
Did you clean your house?
Got to cleaning.
Did you move your stuff around
Moved
and get
a lot of stuff around.
Okay.
We decluttered.
Oh, man, that's nice.
Moved my shoes, which was a big deal.
How many pairs? 70? Give or take? 60?
Yeah, only moved 30.
30 pairs of shoes?
Yeah, I had to switch rooms.
Okay.
I needed the space.
So you moved your Nikes?
Correct.
Okay.
So now, now essentially we just have one room that's dedicated. It's pretty much a closet. Well, we have, it's three rooms in the house. One of them's her closet. One of them's my closet. And the shared, obviously, the master bedroom. We got stuff. I need more than one closet.
No, you don't. You wear athletic gear.
Yeah, I know.
You wear.
It's got to go somewhere.
You wear what 6th graders wear to practice.
That was, that was an objective of mine as a young age.
A goal.
Yeah. To make
Fair
sure
enough.
So that, whatever I was doing, that I could wear athletic gear.
Well, okay.
It's the whole, look good, feel good, play good.
Right. Which you've told us about for some time now. I don't know that athletic gear. I don't know about that. You're wearing a T-shirt and shorts today, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, the athletic gear is where it's at.
No, it's so much better than it was. I don't know if you need to wear it every day all the time. Anyway, your shoes are moved to another room, okay? So you got 30 pairs. Where are the other 30 to 40 pairs?
They're in their little box case deal that I have, that I assembled and put it at the top of my other closet.
Okay.
So he's got a little,
Does
little
Mackenzie
pull-out doors.
think that your Nike shoe selection is ridiculous?
I feel confident in that, yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's a good
It
thing.
just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They ain't going
Would you
nowhere.
like to sell? Your problem is you're size 14,
13, yeah.
13. And that kind of
It's tough.
pigeonholes you.
Oh, yeah.
So are you still wanting to sell some?
Yeah, probably. I still
So
got
if
a
you
few.
want to get in touch with Jackson, and you wear size 13, and he's got 60 plus pair of Nikes, or 50, is it 50, 60?
Oh, yeah, 60, 70.
60, 70. If you wear size 13, and you want a cool pair of Nikes, where they don't have to pay as much as you would, is that right?
Right. Well, yeah. On
I don't
some,
know.
Yeah, some of them are higher, a lot higher.
Okay. All right. Well, then I may be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about grails is what we call them.
Okay.
They're the grails.
The text line, the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776. If you wear size 13, or your son does, and wants a cool pair of Nike. How old, when did this start?
Ooh.
15 years ago?
Yeah, easily. What's today? What?
Well, it's June 16th, 2025.
Yeah, about 15 years. That's fair, yeah.
Okay, about 15 years ago, you started this Nike collection.
Yes.
Are they all Jordans?
No. We got Air Max 95s.
Okay.
We got, we have variations of the Air Max because that's the Nike staple.
Okay.
Was.
How many are Jordans
Ooh.
of the 70?
35,
Roughly.
40, 35, 40.
35 or 40 pair are Jordans.
Yeah.
The rest are what? Air Max?
You got Air
I
Max.
don't even. Well, I do have a pair of Nikes.
Yeah, you do.
I have the cool ones that have out of bounds and
Yeah,
Whiskey
yeah.
61 on them.
You got some forces.
Is that what I have?
Air Force Ones. Classics.
Air Force Ones. I
So-
didn't even know what Patrick Kelly with Finch and Kelly got me.
That is an OG. That was actually the first pair of Nikes that I remember buying. That I was like, all right, this is it.
So I should feel like I'm pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
That I have custom
Yeah.
Air Force Ones with out of bounds logo and Whiskey 61 logo.
Yes.
I've never worn them.
Don't. I'm
I use them now as props.
I love that.
At remotes. Like when I was at Steve Azar's event,
right.
I used them as props.
That's a beautiful
When I've been
prop.
at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, I use them as props.
Still think we need to get, you remember how we had those hover helmet deals?
Yes.
You remember those things that spin?
Yeah.
We needed that for the shoe. The shoe should, it's a magnet. All you got to do is put the magnet in there. But a shoe should be able to sit like the helmet and rotate.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that way you have the shoe always rotating on the display.
Okay.
I don't know if they make that.
Well, that was my first Air Force Ones.
I'm proud of
These
those.
are my first Air Force Ones.
That's a good Air Force One.
Yeah.
Mine were all white. It was in 8th grade. I know I was in 8th grade. 7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah, me and my dad went and bought matching pairs.
Did you really?
Yeah. I told him, I was like, this is the shoe I want. My mother was like, nah, you're not getting those. My dad said, yeah, you can get them if you want some. He said, I had some back in the day. And the next thing you know, boom, we both got pairs on.
Okay.
I think he got a pair of high tops. I went low. Yeah.
You went low tops?
Yeah.
I think mine are low tops. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm ever going to wear them. Yeah.
No, those are not to be worn.
Yeah. I may need another pair.
That's correct.
I don't know. I like them though. They're black, silver, and white. They're so cool looking. And Patrick Kelly with Finch and Kelly does the custom Nikes for Ole Miss, but for people like you and me.
Right.
Put your logo, your business, your name, your whatever. Girlfriend's name, wife,
Yeah. Girlfriends, wives.
both. All right. Luke Falk coming up next. Played ball at Washington State. Had a long post about Mike Leach, where he incorporated house money and swing your sword. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.